that you guys are, involved with the club and everything. Normal thing. If we do go over anything that has to do with cybersecurity hacking, if I tell you how to do something, don't use it to break the law. Normal stuff. If we were all here, this is where I would go over our leadership. I'm Anthony, the vice president. Rose here, our president. A few people that aren't here. We also have a cybersecurity committee that's not up there right now. Robert is our main member right now. Give me a high five, brother. The cyber committee is just like a group of leaders in our club. If you want to be involved, if you want to have a say as far as like, hey, I want to do this thing, that's your chance to kind of bring it up in a more, constructive way, not so much as just a member, but as a leader in our group. And then this is really what I want you guys to look at this week. Our schedule for the next few weeks. Next week, we're going to have Akin Patel from the Sin Shop. He's the president of that shop. He's going to be here next week. And then the week after that, I actually have a really good opportunity for everybody. You guys can submit your own idea if you want to do a talk, if you want to bring something for us to do, anything along those lines. It's an open call for papers. All right. So if you guys are interested in being up here or being on stream or just having something for everybody to do, next week is your chance for that. And then the club CTF, we're actively working on all this stuff. We made a lot of decisions. We're working on our network in this room, setting up some technologies, adding some appliances and some features, and then we're creating the challenges and all the walkthroughs for them. So if you guys are interested in that, definitely consider it. Now, our guest speaker, Brad Swanson up here, he's the principal consultant for Critical Insight. He's also known as the Digital Templar on Twitter. We invited him today because he's a personal friend of mine and a very, very active member in the community, and I really respect this man here. He's going to talk about a little bit about hacker culture, hardware badges, and some cybersecurity. He also brought a nice little treat for us. He's got his own cipher that he has made. He's going to call it Digital 5 for now. He's brought the paper to show us how to use it, and we'll pass those out. Here, I'll take those and pass them out to you guys so you can check it out. He'll tell you guys more about it once we start. Thank you. You mind passing that down for me? Thank you, sir.
So just so everybody is aware, there is a typo on this because
I was trying to do it in the middle of an instant response call today. Row 5, it says row 5 twice. That second row 5 is supposed to be the letter R. Excel likes to auto-populate fields, and I didn't catch that one, so my apologies. That is an R. So I think what we'll do, we'll start out with this cipher. It's not complex. It kind of goes to show anybody can make their own style of cipher. So the way that this works is you have your plain text on the side. If you want to encrypt something, let's say you want to encrypt CSN. You'd start with your plain text, you'd see the letter C, you go to row 1, that would translate to the letter O. So you'd write down an O, right? That would be the C. And then for the S, you go down, and you see the S, but now this is the second character, so we're going to go to row 2, which is an 8. So it would be O8. And then for the N, we're going to go, because it's the third letter in what we're trying to spell out, we're going to go to the third row, which is the number 3. So O83 is what CSN would be with this particular key setup. Now you can change these keys, rows 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. You can rearrange that however you like. You can use the same key and change it, or you can put totally different locations for the letters and numbers, punctuation. The nice thing is we do have punctuation in this, which you never know how urgent a message is, but if there's an exclamation point at the end, then you're like, okay, cool, there's free pizza at Anthony's house. I got to get over there now. You can do whole long things. I've used this encryption key. So I did a badge in 2019 for DEF CON, and I put an encoded message on the back using this cipher. I posted on Twitter. Anybody that cracks this cipher gets $1,000 in cash. PayPal you. If you're in Vegas, I'll come hand you the money, whatever. It's $1,000 if you crack this code. Nobody's ever cracked it. I figured that was a good way to test this particular cipher to see if it was somewhat solid. If anybody figures out a way to pop this cipher, let me know. Happy to hear how you did it. That way we can work and make it stronger. You don't have to limit yourself at 5 rows. I do it just because I lose track if I go further because I'm Gen X and I'm old, my memory's not good. But you could do 10 rows if you wanted to or whatever. It makes it that much harder. Now you can see here we have an example. It says hello there, which encrypted using these keys is ZJBKP1A08 exclamation. Now you notice in hello there's 2 L's. A lot of people, if they do like a substitution cipher, they'll have 2 of the same character. Maybe L equals, I don't know, W. They'd have WW. So you know, okay, that's a double letter. With this method, the 2 L's are B and K. So you don't know that that's the same character in both of those spots. So it makes it a little bit harder for people to crack. It's not as easy just to write a quick dirty Python script and have it go and bust it, which a lot of codes you can do that with. There's a company that makes cards. I do like magic with cards and do little cardistry stuff. And there's a company they're giving away as part of Bad Robot. They produce like a lot of like cool animated stuff and movies and whatnot. It was in cooperation with Bad Robot. It was on their website. It's badrobotbackwards.com. If you want to start playing that game, you get to the very end and you had to save. I had no idea what the save. Had the code about an hour later. Got myself a free deck of limited cards. Helps prevent that. You know, it's not predictive. You know, like some of your stuff will be. So, yeah, just something to kind of think about. And it just goes to show you each make your own ciphers. You know, you don't have to use a specific cipher. You know, you don't have to do everything in a pig pen or do everything in a ROT 13 or whatever. Make your own up. Think about it. Think about how can I generate my own code, make it mine, and use it. You know, use it to talk to your friends. Maybe there's a big pizza party at Anthony's after this, and you want to tell your friends about it, but you don't want like those people from that other group running out, like the geology team at the school, because they're weird. But you can send a message back and forth. If this gets compromised, you just fill out different rows, and now you've got a brand new key that can't be cracked. Well, I should say can't be cracked. It's difficult to be cracked. Questions about that? If not, we'll move on to some hardware stuff. I'm just calling it Digital 5 for now because I had no name for it really until today. And Anthony reached out and said, what do you cipher? I'm like, so I'm just calling it Digital 5 because I'm using 5 rows. And my Twitter handle is Digital Templar. So it kind of fits like a Digital 5 and 5. You know, if you do like the old leet speak of the 80s, looks like an S, so it's Digital Cipher. Yeah, so I don't have a good name for it. But if you want to call it Digital 5, that'd be cool. I'm really not picky. You could call it whatever you want, though. Just.
And then on that note, actually, we do have our weekly crypto corner up there on the screen. You guys can access it on Discord, just as normal. If you guys are able to crack it, just use the form on the same channel, and you know, special prizes. I might actually post your encrypted string that's on the back of the badge that you gave me all those years ago, with your cipher that you used.
You do have that cipher?
I do have that cipher, so I'll post that and I'll let you guys take a crack at it with what you have now. So I wasn't offering a reward. If anybody that cracked the cipher on the badge I made,
you get $1,000 in cash. PayPal, they prefer. I'm not going to make that offer available to the club because you know how I did it, kind of. However, if one of you does crack it, I will be willing to make a $500 donation to the club. So, yeah, for sure. No, it's important what y'all are doing here. And yeah, if somebody cracks it, you have to tell me how you cracked it, like what method you used. You know, if you wrote like a Python script, I'd like to see it just so I can use it for myself, you know, in the future. But yeah, we'll make a $500 donation to the club. So, yeah, no worries. So we'll talk a little bit about some hardware that's out there. These are super fun. This is a Ponagachi. Has anybody heard of a Ponagachi before? Super entertaining, especially here in Vegas. Like you can walk through. Yeah, it really improves the range. So the version, I believe it's version 2 on the Pi 0W actually has pads on the board where you can solder an antenna connector on. And this, I mean, this is, I'm actually, I live out in Pahrump. I can get probably a 6-block radius just about in Pahrump with this thing because everybody jacks their power way up. But yeah, this is super entertaining if you are walking around and testing your own wireless to make sure that your passphrase is good. Again, don't use it to do illegal stuff. Don't use it to be a jerk. Only use it for education. We always have to make that disclaimer. Sometimes if you forget it's on and you walk through a populated place, like if you walk down the strip, it's going to go nuts because there's so much Wi-Fi down there. If you have something that's interfering with your signal, you can use it to kind of see what else is in your neighborhood. It does have the ability to upload the keys that it finds, the wireless signals it finds. It captures keys. It does have the ability to upload those to the internet and have them cracked by people. Don't crack other people's Wi-Fi. Only crack your own Wi-Fi. And it also has a setting where you can de-auth all the Wi-Fi, so you get more handshakes that way, right? Because let's just turn the Wi-Fi off and back on again, IT crowd style, and get all the handshakes. Don't de-auth people's networks. People don't like that. Companies take it personally. Caesars will do unspeakable things to you if you de-auth their networks. We'll just leave it at that. So yeah, but these are cool. This is something you can build yourself. If you can find a Raspberry Pi right now, they're super hard to find, but they're supposed to be ramping up production. And it's basically it's an e-ink screen with a Pi 0W. This one's got an antenna. I put a real-time clock in it, so I have to set the clock every time. And then I have a GPS add-on that I plug into it, so I can log where I found things in my own network. But super neat project. 3D printed case. I see y'all have a 3D printer. The case takes a lot of tweaking to get it just right, make everything fit right. But yeah, it's kind of fun to feed that little fella. What else? We talked about de-authing Caesar's Palace. This is the Hacker's Warehouse badge. I believe this one, I have a date on this. I want to say this is like 2019. And it's, yeah, for sure. It's basically just, your happy little blinky badge that, lights up. You see these if you go to DEF CON or B-Sides or Black Hat. There's always people with blinky badges. People don't take their badges off when they go out to dinner after DEF CON. Like you'll be at Cheesecake Factory and there's Anthony and he looks like a disco walking around, which makes it easier to find him. So I appreciate that. This badge also has the ability to de-auth Wi-Fi. Somebody bought one of these badges from Hacker Warehouse at DEF CON in 2019 and decided to play with the Wi-Fi de-auth and started de-authing endpoints at Caesars. Caesars has no sense of humor when it comes to that kind of stuff. They took the guy's birthday away. They said bad things about his mom. He's been banned from all Caesars properties for life. He's trying to get back in, but it's not going well. It's a private business, so they can kick out who they like. So don't play with de-authors if you are anywhere near a network that you could de-auth that probably doesn't want to be de-auth. Perfectly fine to use them on your home network, but yeah, don't be a jerk no matter how much you dislike the DMV. Yeah, right. Now there's other, a lot of these badges people make have different kind of little features that you can do. So this is from CypherCon. It's a really great conference in Milwaukee. It's actually the 30th and 31st of this month. I have 2 passes if anybody can make it to Milwaukee. I will give them freely to anybody here. If you can make it to Milwaukee, it gets you in for free. I've been a speaker at that conference for a number of years. I will not be there this year. I have other obligations. But the organizer goes by Corgo. He's like, hey, he goes, you've done so much. I'm going to give you some passes. If anybody is interested, see me after the fact. This is the badge that they made one year. This badge was made by a group called the Toy Makers. We talked about, outsourcing badge production. They typically charge about $50 for a badge like this. You can sell it for $100, make some money for the club. This badge works as an actual phone. You can plug a phone line in the bottom, and you can call people and talk to them on it. The audio is pretty janky. It's like remember you go to your grandmother's house and she had that old rotary dial phone with a weird 4-plug that went in the wall? That's kind of what it sounds like. It also has a red box built in, so you can do quarter tones for payphones. They don't work anymore Unless we get like an old payphone in here, then maybe we can use quarter tones.
We actually have a little setup in here. Robert just brought in a few more phones.
Excellent.
BA22, which is like a telephone line thing in
Yep.
there. Got a few phones set up. So.
Excellent. Yeah, we're going to see what we can do to help get y'all like some payphones and maybe some switches. This badge does not work right now. I think if you look, it looks like there's a little bit of a bad solder joint on the battery pack where it goes into the board. I'm going to donate this badge to the club. Y'all can hack around on it, open it up, reflow that solder, see if you can get it going again. See how it was built. You know, take it and think about how they use like this acrylic and everything else in the badge design. For a long time, badges were just flat, you know, well, flat-ish. And they actually kind of stepped it up by doing multi-layers of circuit boards and using like this acrylic. This will do like blue box tones. It does all kinds of crazy stuff. And it lights up and blinky badges all over the place. So this is from CypherCon. The very first one that they did that was super cool, everybody had always done flat badges. People still just do flat badges. Well, the toy makers said, we want to do something, we want to think outside the box, right? Which is what clubs like you are so good at. You all have ideas. You're a club, you can work together, you know, maybe make your own badge for DEF CON or something. They did a 3D badge. Like nobody's ever done a 3D badge, so they made this 3D badge. And it's, you know, it's a blinky badge. It also, though, it has a USB port on it. If you plug into this and connect to it using a terminal, there's a multi-user dungeon, like a text-based adventure game inside of it. And as you play the game and progress through the game, you unlock new light patterns and new light combinations. They also had designed it to take corner LEDs, like these really specialized LEDs that kind of shoot in from the corners. They didn't add them. When you went to CypherCon, they would hand out these LEDs for free, and they're like, here, solder them in. Make it even cooler if you want. Make it your own. Customize it. And that's really the big thing about the badge stuff is it's really kind of cool to have like a blinky badge, but when you start playing with the puzzles and the secrets, you had to basically take the badge apart to figure out the secret. So like there's this piece on the front. So what I can do is busting it. There we go. You take this piece off, there were notes on the back of it, musical notes. So there are a lot of people at DEF CON that can't read music, and they're hunting down those of us that do. How do you do this? You would find different notes, different places, and you had to play those to unlock features on the badge. When you took that off, the speaker comes off, and they don't tell you which way it goes back on. So there's a lot of trial and error, and does it go on right side up? Does it go on upside down? And then underneath where the speaker was, they have silk screened. Why did you take that off? Put it back. So there's a lot of little secrets like that you'll find in the badges. Some places or some badges, you lift up the battery pack and there's text written underneath it. Actually, the DEF CON badge from 2021, I think, maybe 26. Yeah, from DEF CON 26. If you lift up these battery packs, it lists what some outputs are, like some of the pads in the back of the badge. It says, okay, this is a 3-volt output, or this is a ground, or this is a data line. And so then people would be able to analyze that. So you can see that the battery packs are peeled up. They had like sticky on them that held them down. The sticky is not as sticky anymore. That being said, we're going to donate this badge to the club as well, so you have another badge to play around with. Throw some batteries in it, try and figure it out. The goal is you want to light up all these little buildings on the front by doing different things. It might be shorting something out. Maybe, not trying to give away any hints, maybe you got to take a resistor off that's on there that is actually blocking some of the logic on the board. Yeah, it's there's a lot of fun stuff you can do with them. I know I'm going kind of long here on time, but every good still on time? Okay. So there's a car hacking village at DEF CON. There's a everything hacking village now. They have a satellite hacking village, and an airplane hacking village, and voting machines, and cars. The car hacking village always does a really cool badge that does like all kinds of blinky lights. It also has an OBD2 port on the side of it and a USB port on it. And the reason for that is that you can actually hook this badge up to your car using the OBD2 port. And then you plug into the USB port on the bottom, and you can actually read data from your car's ECU. If you want to see what your spark curve is at, or what your fuel is at, how much timing is it pulling, whatever. If you want to turn off the fact that, I'm trying to think of a good example. If you want to turn off some feature, you can interact as long as the ECU is not locked. I had a Dodge Hellcat Red Eye. I tried to plug this in. I was all excited. I'm like, I'm going to unlock some stuff. This will be great. No, if it's a locked ECU, no, it will not let you do that. But especially if you like an older car, you plug it in, and you can like see all kinds of cool data flows coming out of your car. Yeah.
Would you be able to do like replay attacks and stuff? Turn on the blinker, see the data that's coming through the blinker that's in.
A lot of people, not specifically with this badge, like they don't make it for evil use. There are badges and devices out there though that will very easily do that. And the car hacking village is super cool. They talk about all that stuff. They get a Tesla donated every year. Don't get excited, it's only a Model 3, but still, it's a Tesla, right? And you try and hack the car. And whoever hacks the car the best or the most gets the car. You probably have to pay taxes on it, and by the end of DEF CON, it is covered in stickers, which is kind of cool to me, but everybody puts their stickers on it, and they had that car doing crazy stuff. One of my friends runs that village, and he found what he called a hack. There was, I want to make sure I get the story kind of right. Grain of salt. Again, Gen X, old, memory gone. There was an instance where a lady was in a crash in a Tesla, and everything locked up. She couldn't get the glove box open, so the cops showed up, and she couldn't produce her registration, her license, her registration, her insurance was all in the glove box. When she got in the wreck, that glove box seized up, and she couldn't get it open, and she actually got arrested because they thought it was a stolen car. Because she's like, well, I can't get any of my information. And they're like, you're coming with us for a little bit till we figure this out. She sued Tesla. She was not happy. I mean, none of you would be happy if you get in a wreck. That's a bad day right there. And now they're telling you you're coming with us. That's a double bad day. So she got upset. She either sued Tesla or threatened to sue Tesla. And so now they have a fail-safe. If you get in a wreck, your glove box pops open. So this year, they had the Model 3 sitting there, and my buddy, who is a troublemaker, was in front of the car, and his buddy was inside, like bending that, plugging wires in under the dash, to try and do weird stuff. Mike lays on his back in front of this Tesla and just kicks the front bumper as hard as he can, and the glove box flies open and hits his buddy in the head. So yeah. Now there are some evil tools out there. This is an evil tool. And it's made for good. It's like anything. It's like a knife or a gun or a car or Anthony not inviting me over for pizza at his house. They can be used for good or they can be used for evil. This is one of those tools. At the core, this is a Hack 1 RF. It will sniff it'll sniff like wireless, like radio signals from, I believe it's 1 megahertz, 6 gigahertz. So it will listen to almost anything you can imagine. And I've got a thing on it. This is called a Portapack. Basically, it has a little touch screen, some buttons, a knob. My bag, it turns on all the time. I get somewhere I got a dead battery. This is what they use. You always hear in the news about, oh, people are stealing cars. This magic hacker box. This is the box. This is what they use to. So it has receive, and we can listen to all kinds of stuff. Like they have ADSB. I sit at my house. I watch the Janet flights come in. The other day, I caught a U.S. Marshal Service prisoner transfer out of San Francisco. You see all the different airlines. You see Maverick up and down the strip nonstop. It'll plot it on a map for you. It tells you who owns it, what it is. Like the Janet flights, you look at those, it says owned by the United States Air Force. Tells you what kind of plane it is, so on and so forth. So it receives that signal, will broadcast that signal, which, if you're a good person and you only hack your own stuff and you don't do anything illegal, you're fine. If you have a mischievous streak, or if you're a bad guy and you see that Janet flight going up towards like Groom or over Tonopah or wherever, you can say, I'm a MiG or an Su-27 or whatever Russian plane is your favorite of the day, and put yourself a mile behind that flight, closing fast on them. That's bad. You shouldn't be. You see a U.S. Marshal's flight. You can put a MiG behind that. You can do whatever you want with that. Not only does it do that, you can. Has everybody ever been to a burger joint? They give you that little puck that vibrates like crazy and flashes and scares the bejeebus out of you when your table's ready. I always jump and scream and throw the thing. You can make every one of those in the entire restaurant go off at the same time with this little box. Illegal. Super illegal. If not illegal, at least immoral. Like, don't do that. That's not nice. Especially because I probably have one of those pucks and you scare the bejeebus out of me. But it can do that. It has a lot of nasty features. If you're in a parking lot, I can go out in the parking lot, wait for Anthony to go out to his Jeep. Jeeps are susceptible to this. Maybe mine more than yours, because I don't even have a keyhole in mine. Do you use it? Is yours push to start?
Yeah, I use a key.
Oh, see, mine's push to start, and I use it all the time. When I get out of my Jeep and I'm walking away, I hit the lock button as I'm walking away. You can sniff that signal and capture it and jam it on its way to the Jeep. Okay, so now I've saved this code. If you push the lock button on your car and it doesn't do anything, what do? You push it again, right? Maybe you put it under your head, try and get that parabolic effect to make it go further. So what this does, it captures that second signal and then sends the first signal to the car. The car hasn't seen that first signal yet, so it's still valid to the car. Sends that first signal, the car says, oh, cool, yeah, okay, we're locked, we're good, see. I still have a valid code stored in this. Now I can unlock the car, or if I have, like on mine, I've got remote start, I can use that code to remote start it, whatever. Super illegal. Don't do it, unless it's to your own car.
Educational purposes.
Yeah.
That's our favorite word around
Yeah,
here.
it's the type of thing, like I played with it with my Hellcat, because my Hellcat, again, push button start. And it's scary how easy it is to steal a Hellcat. And so I actually was able to go in and have them do some firmware updates on it, and then promptly traded it in on a different vehicle with the same exact system. I don't know what I was thinking. But yeah, super illegal. You can buy this box. There is no regulation on stuff like this. So it really falls to all of us to make sure that these tools are used as tools, right? You wouldn't go buy a gun and just walk up and shoot somebody in the face, right? You'd use it maybe to go hunting or target shooting or what have you for protection. Same thing with these. Don't go shooting Teslas and things like that in the face. Be responsible in your use of all these tools. I know I've gone way over on my time. Does anybody have any questions? Anything I can tell you about? I'm not a good person to talk to about because I dropped out of college after 2 weeks, and that's really not a good thing to tell a college class. Pardon? What do I do? So I'm a principal consultant at a company called Critical Insight. We take care of critical infrastructure, hospitals, colleges, high schools, cancer centers, municipalities, basically anywhere that's going to help improve the life of humans. I work primarily as a VCSO, I'm a virtual CISO. Some of these companies can't afford $5 million a year for, they hire me. I'm way cheaper than that because I've got multiple customers that I do this for. So I'll spend 5 hours a week with this company, and 5 hours a week with this company, and 5 hours a week with this company. They're not paying my benefits. They're not paying for my vacations. They're not paying the exorbitant amount of money. You know, I used to make a ton of money. I was the manager of threat intelligence and incident response for a company called Zendesk. They do like support software. I was making almost a $500,000 a year when I was there. I left. I took more than a 50% pay cut to go to Critical Insight because we do things that matter. We help people. And we're not protecting the world. We're protecting the city of Henderson or CSN or St. Mary's or what have you. So I basically advise people. I've been in security for about 27 years. I've done a lot of audit work. I've done a lot of just security analyst type stuff, pretty much the whole range of things. And now I take that experience and I use it to help other companies that maybe don't have the finances to be able to pay people big bucks. We want to make sure cities and municipalities have money to keep the water flowing to people and keep garbage service going. You know, so we try and take care of them as best we can. Yeah.
What's your favorite conference? Whether it was a past one, something coming up, what's your favorite conference?
Absolute favorite. Absolute.
Absolute favorite.
DerbyCon.
DerbyCon? Yeah.
DerbyCon might be coming back. Dave is talking about maybe starting it up again. Nothing is in stone yet, but at the very last, so they shut DerbyCon down. They did the last one. He was very upset. There was a lot of drama that went on. He's like, I'm done. I've been doing this out of pocket for everybody for so many years, and this is the thing. Nope, done. So at the very last one, they gave everybody a black badge, and the black badge gets you free access, right? You get into the conference for free. So everybody's like, yeah, bring these black badges. He's like, no, we will not accept our own black badges. But as far as current conferences, there's something to be said for DEF CON. DEF CON's fun, but it's not as good as some of the conferences I used to go to in the Midwest. I moved out to Pahrump from Wisconsin. So ThoughtCon in Chicago, excellent conference. It's a 2-day.
Like underground or something like that, like in a.
Well, no, it's in the Irish American Heritage Center. They have like this big theater type area and like all these little break rooms. It's really kind of a cool building. And we'll be in there. We'll have people like big purple mohawks and like some little old lady that came here from Ireland when she was like 12, comes in on a walker and she's just like, right, it's okay. It's a hacker conference. Oh. But yeah, it's they don't record any of the talks. Open. The one year we had a Russian spammer there, and he's like, I make $180,000 a year selling Viagra ads, and went into detail as to how he made it past mail filters and everything, and it was super interesting. And he spilled all because it wasn't recorded. So he was telling 200 people his secrets. He's like, what's the harm? There's 1 million people out there that I'm sending emails to today. This 200 is not going to make a dent. A lot of talk. It's kind of like the Sky Talks for DEF CON. If you get a chance, go to the Sky Talks. Those are good. I'll record those. You can get some good information there. Circle City Con in Indianapolis is really good. Has a very family feel to it, and they have a theme every year, and everybody dresses up in that theme. So it might be like post-apocalyptic wasteland. Everybody shows up dressed like Max, or they had one. It was space, and so people would show up. Like one person had like an actual astronaut uniform. They paid like $6,000 on eBay for it, and they're like walking around in this astronaut uniform. And so a lot of fun there. CypherCon is really good. It's a small conference in Milwaukee, but it's really good, and they are trying to be. They're trying to be very diverse, which is a good thing. IT has historically looked like me. We need to change that. We need to get more people involved. Everybody needs to be involved because it's everybody's job at the end of the day. I don't care if you work at a company as a janitor or if you're the CEO. Security is your job, and we need to teach people that and teach people that everybody is involved in security. It's not an old white dude's game anymore. It's all of us together. It used to be back in the old. So I got into hacking as kind of a blackish grayish back in the 80s. And back then, it was tough. Like you didn't have this sharing of information. It was very closed. You had to have vouchers to get into different groups, things like that. And now it's so much more open. It's really kind of refreshing to see that. So, any other questions or?
So you mentioned that you dropped out of school. What then would you consider to be like the gateway or a good start? What was your start, but also what would you recommend a good start to get into
Sure.
outside of college experience?
So primarily I'm going to say college experience because all of you are eons ahead of where I was when I was your ages, right? The school is very good. When I went to college, it was a different time. I went to college back in 1988. In 1970, went to school in 88. My first class was Introduction to the Microcomputer, and I walk in, they're like, this is a CRT. Can you all say CRT? I'm like, can I test out of this class, please? I was taking like Fortran 77 and Pascal, and those are like the leading cutting edge languages, which today is like the modern day equivalent of being fluent in Latin and Aramaic. You know, where are you going to use that at a job, you know? I was paying my own way through college. Like there weren't easy to get student loans like there are now, even though they charge way too much for student loans now. But I was having to pay a nickel and a dime at a time. I'm like, okay, I can go to school and learn about the CRT, or I can eat. So I left school after about 2 weeks and decided I was going to eat, and I got a job. I was making electric motors in a factory at night, rolling little electric rotors in Dicom blue and putting them in a tray over and over. I'm like, this sucks. I started when I was a kid, though, right? I took everything apart. Anybody else ever take stuff apart just to see how it works and what's inside it? That's what I did. My parents hated it, clock radios, because I'd take it apart and I'd see how it works, and I'm like, okay, that's boring. Next. And I wouldn't put it back together again. So my parents could never keep a clock radio in the house. The washing machine never worked right. The refrigerator was always on the fritz for some reason. So I just had that curious mindset, right? Which I think is what drives all of us. We're curious. We have that curiosity. We want to learn. We want to know what's out there and what it's about within legal limits. Don't get curious about other people's networks. And so I got my first computer when I was 14. It was an Osborne Executive 4. We called them luggables. It was the size of a large Samsonite suitcase. The bottom of it folded open into a keyboard and had a 4-inch green screen and 2 5.25-inch floppies. That thing. Realized there wasn't a whole lot I could do besides play games, so I played Colossal Caves. I got sick of the pirate killing me, if anybody's played that. Pirate kills you in the twisty passages. I'm like, why is he killing me? I decided to take the game apart. I took a clock radio apart, figured out how that works. Game can't be much different. Took the game apart, figured out why the pirate kept killing me, made some changes. Oh, now the pirate doesn't kill me. Oh, this is cool. I can make this thing do what I want it to do. Awesome. Years off and on. Then I finally got my first PC. It was an IBM PC Junior, like an old 8088 at like 8 megahertz. And I had a 300 baud modem. Oh boy, modems, yeah. I was gonna really roll the world then. I upgraded to a 2400 baud because that 300 wasn't fast enough, and 2400 baud, I could go anywhere in the blink of an eye, as long as you blink slow like a cat. And I discovered bulletin boards, and I discovered there are other people out there like me that had this interest, and so we started talking and getting ideas. I fell in with some bad groups. I used to courier for Frozen Crew, trading like pirated software. I'd pick it up off this board in France, and I'd send it to this board in San Francisco. And then the first month's phone bill came, and that was not pretty, which got me interested in phreaking. And so I developed a recreational interest in the phone company. Don't do that. Keep everything legal. But yeah, you know, you learn this stuff, and you don't realize that you're learning it until you need to use it. I had some friends came to me, they said, hey, we just opened a coffee shop and a hair salon, and now we want to open an ISP. I'm like, well, that's probably a bad idea, 3 businesses in 1 year, but okay, I'll set you up with an ISP. We had a couple of ISDN lines coming in, a whole bunch of like US Robotics 28.8s for dial-up, and we ran an ISP. I'd never used Linux before. That was 94, 95. Slackware had just come out, and we're like, oh, look at this Linux stuff. This is awesome. Let's learn it. I want to know more about it. I want to explore this operating system. One thing leads to another, and it was 2000. I'd been living in Florida. There is no technical work in Florida. If you are in nursing or healthcare, bank. if you're in anything digital, forget it, you're going to starve to death. So we moved from Florida back up to Wisconsin, had taken my mom falling sick, and got a job as a security analyst for a company. I'm like, well, I know how to hack into stuff. Like, I've been doing that for a while. I can come on this side of the fence maybe and do it for you. And they set me down on their FTP server, and they're like, this has been acting weird. What's going on? I'm like, oh, you got a guy running an egg drop bot and IRC on it. There's hackers in your box. You want me to get rid of them for you? They're like, can you start tomorrow? I'm like, done deal. And so that's what got me started. I started out, I made 30 grand a year. You know, and back then I'm like, God, that's really good money. It paid the bills, but now, you know, you keep leveling yourself up, right? It's like a video game, you know. You're playing. You take an arrow to the knee. You're like, God, I need better armor. You level. You get better gear. You get better skills. You go off, and you finally got a shot you in the knee.
You don't have to become a guard after you get shot in the knee.
Do not, yeah. Do not resolve yourself to be a guard, because eventually some high level person going to come along, kill the guard, and take all your armor. And that's they leveled up. But yeah, no, it's, you know, keep leveling yourselves up. Don't ever stop learning. There's always something new to learn, especially with security and computers and electronic. I mean, the world's your oyster. It really is. I wish I knew half of what you all know when I was your ages, because I'd be the king of the universe at this point. You know, it's good stuff, and you'll continue to grow. Yeah, your first job out of school might not pay great, might pay awesome. I don't know if I can do a shameless plug here, but Critical Insight, we're always hiring. We'd love to hire people fresh out of college. We pay well. We give unlimited vacations. So there are jobs out there. There's a bunch of companies that are looking for security people. Like I said, I started at 30 grand a year, and you know, last year I was way up there. I got a house full of, well, Anthony's been, I got a house full of pinball machines and arcade machines, and I've got a $120,000 Jeep parking lot, which the bank actually owns. But you know, you'll be able to get some cool stuff. You'll be able to build awesome labs in your house, and then you can take all this illegal stuff and play with it. Lab in your house, you still get that same sense of accomplishment. You know, I just pwned this server, but you're not breaking the law and going to jail for it.
Or you can set everything up here. That's why we have so much in here, guys.
Beautiful lab y'all have. This is amazing, an amazing area. Y'all are so lucky. We had 3 computers when I was in college, 3 for the entire college. And you had to sign up like a week in advance to get on it, because they're like, oh, go write this program in Pascal. Go write this Trend 77 routine. You had to fight to get on those computers to write, because nobody had a home PC. I had this Osborne, but you couldn't do anything on that. I didn't have Pascal or Fortran. So this setup really is a very, very cool setup. It's very, very cool what y'all are doing. So, yeah.
What's the best piece of advice you could give to someone who's starting out, cybersecurity, trying to learn all these things that?
Yep. Yeah, don't ever let anybody tell you can't. You know, if anybody ever says, you know, you can't do this, don't get mad, get motivated, right? Take that as a challenge. I bet I can. Watch me. That's going to get back at them. You can call them every horrible name in the book, like what Anthony calls me when he calls me on the phone.
I gotta invite you to pizza.
Some way. But what's going to drive them away, or kind of teach them a lesson more, is if you go and do what they said you couldn't do. Never stop learning. Never, ever be intimidated. Everybody. I've been doing this for 27 years. I have imposter syndrome worse than anybody I know. You know, don't let it get to you. You all are very smart and very gifted in your own rights. You know, yeah, you might not be as good as the person sitting next to you. I said that every time I'm next to Anthony. God, someday I'll be like Anthony. Don't let that hold you back. Say, hey, I want to be like Anthony someday. Go get it. Grab it. You know, run with it. Again, use it as motivation. Don't see it as a limiting factor for you. They've really removed a lot of the gatekeeping in security, and take full advantage of that. Any other questions? Anybody online have anything?
No, I was weighing. I think just as a reminder, I guess, a few people aren't really sure who's talking. Can you remind them who you are?
Oh, sure. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, so my name is Brad Swanson. On Twitter, I go by Digital Templar with the goofy, weird, hackery spelling of the 80s. I work as a principal consultant for a company called Critical Insight out of Seattle. We help critical infrastructure, schools, hospitals, municipalities, protect their services. Basically, anybody that's going to make the world a better place for us, we want to make sure that they're protected. And I work as a VCSO and a principal consultant, do a lot of audit work and policy work and stuff. So,
I think that was the only question
all
online.
right.
Everybody else is all good, and then everybody else, you guys got questions? Good?
All right. Well, hey, thank you all very much for having me. I really appreciate it. Totally worth the drive in from Pahrump. I was wondering as I was driving in, but this has been an excellent experience. So thank you all so much, and thank you for what you all do today and what you're going to do in the future.